Hello there, and welcome to Dr. T for May 13th. We're starting off on Stage 1, and it's an interesting Stage 1. And I flare over into the corner because I figure, oh, wow, this is going to be easy. And then I throw a buttload of GBE and realize, if you had lower level tanks, this would be really long and grindy. So, what I suggest is when you land your troops, you can flare over towards the corner there, but when you're over in this general area, flare up onto that rocket launcher because it's going to grind away at your troops. Just take it out really quickly and then flare back away from the mortar, and then nothing can hit you and you can sit there forever shooting at it. Because, as you can see, I dumped like 60 GBE, 70 GBE into this mofo, and my tanks are boosted, and it's still standing. Like, craziness. Also, by the way, full disclosure, thanks to a Wii map clear, today I am running boosted tanks, so I did my tri-boost, troop health, troop damage, and GBE, and that means that I kicked some butt through certain levels. So, also, I tried to, adjust, I guess, for the craziness. Like on this tack, for example, where I didn't even use any GBE. I just kind of let the tanks roam up, and it's actually a pretty decent little path. I think I use one flare here. So, for any level, that should be completely doable. If it's not, then, I apologize, but I do what I can. Most importantly, watch out for that boom cannon over on the left-hand side. You definitely don't want to drift over into the range of that, so if you gotta re-flare to keep your tanks nice and tight up against the side, by all means, please do that. Alright, now we're gonna move on to Stage 3, which is another one of these really awesome giveaway stages. I don't even know what the thinking was on this level, but I'm not going to complain. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to laugh. And I'm going to dance as I loot pinata my way around, I actually expected that I was going to have to kind of do some closer ranged work with the old HQ, so I threw down a barrage on the minefield. But by all means, you don't even need to do that. Honestly, you can just, pretty much roll up where I flared right there, and your tanks will set up shop, and you can turn on the cruise control, go get a coffee, maybe, make some breakfast, some eggs, some bacon, some toast, some yogurt, maybe a little bowl of cereal. Anyways, I haven't had breakfast yet. Alright, so your tanks can sit there, they'll shoot away at things, and eventually you will get loot without having to kill even a single defensive statue. Ignore my quote-unquote boat of Zookas to speed things along. Obviously, not necessary. There's still 2.5 minutes left on the attack, but I just wanted to kind of push it forward, move on to Stage 4, which completely makes up for everything that happened 1 to 3, with all the easiness. Stage 4 is a disaster piece. It's friggin' brutal. There are at least 4 boom cannons that you need to take out. Primarily with GBE in my case. Now, I tried to keep this pretty, doable. Each of those boom cannons has, give or take, 7k health. So you're going to have to do some math, figure out, how many barrages, how many artilleries you're going to need to toss at each of those stupid cannons just to work your way through. Plus, I would suggest keeping a little bit of love for a shock or two when we're going through the cannon section. Because, they will start to wear down on your guys. So we're going to flare hard right, and that was way lower than I meant to flare, but that's alright. So we'll just go right up the right hand side. Be mindful of the shock launcher on the left hand side and the boom cannon. You'll hit the shock launcher range long before you have to worry about the boom cannon range, but you still don't want your troops grinding to a halt because some douchebag shock launcher is doing all kinds of horrible things. So by all means, throw a stun down on the cannons and the mortars, and actually, I believe if you place it just right, you could get that third mortar in and take down all 5 statues. Well, not take down, but stun all 5 statues. Obviously, this is completely dependent on how much energy and if you can, blah 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 blah. Now, I also flared up into that top right corner and then threw a couple smokes just to get past that nasty cannon, because we don't really need to take it down. Once we get up here, we can take out the rocket launcher and the sniper tower, which the sniper tower we definitely need to take down. And then we can go up into that top corner, and from there we can shoot down on the HQ with relative ease and slowly grind it out while we go and, continue to eat said bacon and eggs and toast and, I don't know, home fries? What else do you throw in there? American breakfast, Oh, IHOP. There you go, pancakes. Anyways, so slowly we will take down stage 4, which will bring us to stage 5. There's a view of the rest of stage 4 just because, you gotta do something while your tanks are killing things. So I go real estate shopping. Is there a nice piece of land over here? I don't know. Yeah, property values plummet once Dr. T comes to town. I don't know why. Something about landmines and unspent shells. So stage 5 after stage 4 is surprisingly kind. Well, maybe not. It still requires a fair amount of GBE to pull off, just because you're going to have to take out some boom cannons. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I already made an attempt at this stage 5 where I went around left side. And basically what I ran into is left side, I ran out of time before I was able to take down the HQ. So, right side, way more GBE intensive. Left side just takes hella longer. And I gotta remind you guys, I'm actually boosted today, so I'm getting an extra, 25% damage on my tanks, and it still took that long for my poor tanks to grind their way through. So what I would strongly suggest is going through on the right hand side, taking the more GBE intensive attack, but landing your troops kind of a little over on the left here where they can absorb a little bit to hopefully try and buffer that. And then, instead of flaring all the way down where I flared, you could have flared pretty much to where I dropped that smoke, and then your tanks would have naturally taken out that cannon and could have saved yourself the extra 2 GBE for the first smoke, I guess it is. So anyways, I took out that cluster of sniper towers because it will have range and it is important. And then I just started working up the right-hand side. There's nothing that you really have to worry about on the left-hand side until you get up to the very top where there's that cluster of 5 sniper towers. That might start doing some damage to your tanks. But, for the most part, it's pretty chill. You just have to flare your guys up on the right so that they, go through and clear out the defenses they need to in order to make it all the way to the HQ, which mine are currently doing. You can throw a stun and take out both cannons and the sniper tower. Now, because of the artillery barrage, whatever you've been throwing, hopefully those will be slightly weakened, and thus easier to ass whoop. That's the technical term, I assure you. So, after you're done ass whooping said defenses, basically your tanks will move in on the HQ. You will have a mortar who's wailing on you, and you will have a rocket launcher that's wailing on you, but that's really not that bad. In the grand scheme of things, it should be doable. Wow. I don't know if it's going to be picked up on the microphone, but my computer just decided it is time to go into overdrive. Poor thing is probably dying. It's like 8 years old. I can't... It doesn't owe me anything. Anyways, so with the destruction of the Dr. T base number 5, we will move on to stage 6, which... I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I can gauge things properly anymore. Stage 6 seemed to be fairly easy, but also I've been expanding my landing crafts because, you know, that's kind of what you do. And now that I've moved to a 5 tank, 3 medic setup, and I've been leveling up my medics also, so I have way more healing than I used to. Even running through and destroying player bases, which I did kind of just before / during taking down Dr. T, everything was a breeze. Just everybody was dying, and it was beautiful. So I say this is relatively easy, but, you know, depending on what you have tanks-wise and medics-wise, maybe not so much. Now, going up the middle is key. You have to watch out for boom cannon on the right-hand side, which these tanks start drifting towards. There it is. And then, obviously, the ridiculously tightly stacked bundle of defenses on the left-hand side. So, basically, let them kind of drift up. They can kill things and do what they want up until about that area, and flare right into the little mess of trees there. There's a nice little clearing. And then from there, they should naturally latch onto the sniper tower and the little, like, the machine gun bundle there. Now, one stun over on the left-hand side will take out 2 cannons and a sniper tower, so you don't have to worry about them actually doing anything horrible to you. I definitely suggest doing that, because with the boost these towers are getting, they can get pretty nasty on the old tanks. So here I flared up to the cannon because I wanted to take it out, and then threw a stun on the left-hand side again, and just basically left my tanks sitting right there to clear out whatever they could reach. That may have been a bit of a mistake, but, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So once they are up along the top, you can either let them drift a little to the right and gather some free GBE. You can throw them down on the left to make them clear out that cannon and finish things off there. Or you could just use GBE on that and let your tanks kind of sit back and shoot at things. Now, I made the mistake of not flaring my tanks back into max range on the HQ, and thus I have a whole bunch of sniper towers who are pecking away at me. Now, if I had flared back like I should have, like it would be intelligent to do, basically those sniper towers at the back that I just stunned shouldn't have had range on me, and, you know, it would have been a much more successful attack. So please, learn from my mistakes. And as I will, I guess. Hopefully. One day, maybe. Who knows? Depends on how much I drink. So, with that, we take down Dr. T, Stage 6, pretty safely, I guess. I don't know. Also, again, boosted like a mofo. So, Stage 6 probably a lot easier than had I not been boosted. Which brings us to stage 7. And stage 7, I am going up the right-hand side again. And I kind of weighed it back and forth, and I tried figuring it out, and I was like, what it comes down to is, yes, there's, I think, 1 or 2 extra defenses that you got to deal with on the right-hand side, but you can take one of them down with a shock, and technically one of them, you have to take down those shock launchers anyways. So if you're taking down that shock launcher, you're already tossing the GBE at it. The overflow bleed literally touches that boom cannon. So just do it. Just take it out. Why not? Let it do its thing. Also, because it's all fairly tight in there, you can take out, as you see, a sniper tower without even trying, which is fantastic, because those are all the defenses that you don't want messing with your guys, right? Like, come on, pretty good. And you're gonna have to take out this this shock launcher as well. But even if you went left-hand side and did some fancy driving and avoided some guys, you'd still have to take out those 2 shock launchers. So I rather than running into when I ran into a stage 4, which was just straight up running at a time, I figured, this is the way to go about it. So, when going up the right-hand side, I would strongly suggest, if you can, keeping your tanks nice and closely grouped. I know it sucks because of the rocket launcher, but it will take down the cannons and the sniper towers and things like that much quicker and easier. Also, there is a sniper tower and a cannon kind of down at the bottom of my screen, you can see there. If you let your guys drift too far to the left, they will start pecking away at you, and you don't want that. Now, depending on what your time situation looks like, you could continue to take out that mortar. I kind of wish I had let my tanks get a few extra shots off, because when it comes down to where your final position is, it's the mortar and like 3 rocket launchers that have range on you. So by all means, if that extra mortar is down, and possibly even the 1 rocket launcher, because it's right there, like you might be able to take that down, by all means, definitely do that. You don't have to do it in order to be successful, but you could do it. Now, I did do a smoke here just to give my medics time to heal everything up, because I saw a lot of red and it scared me. And then, of course, there were 2 idiot medics who were like, no, we're not going into the smoke. So you might have to be a little creative with the smokes to keep everyone standing, but it works. Anyways, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Hopefully this has helped you out. Please leave me comments, suggestions, tips, hints, tricks, anything you want in the comments. And most importantly, have yourselves a fantastic day.